Good afternoon, everybody. This is Donnie B. GotDaBeats here on Two Flew West, along with my buddy and our co-host Nicholas Baker down there.
What it do? What it do?
All right, so I'm gonna do kind of a round robin on the guest that we have here today. We are actually going to watch and have an open discussion about this film that this our good brother Lawrence Watford has put out into the world, and we're definitely going to talk about it. So, introduce Law Watford. Say what's up, Law Watford.
Hey, okay. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, everybody.
Okay. Keeping it short, I guess.
Law Watford, film director, writer, extraordinaire. Like, you got to give yourself a little more than that. Let them know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. Appreciate that.
D.R. Houston said you're a superhero. You're a superhero.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having us. Thank you guys for supporting the film and the project continuously. And glad to be here. And I'm glad you get to hang out with the cast and talk to the cast who made it all happen.
So we definitely like to welcome the cast to Two Flew West. Thank you for joining us, guys. Laura, I'll let you, since you work with everybody, I want you to introduce everybody and bring them in for us.
Okay. Well, up in the middle, top, that's Genia Lear Morgan.
Hi, Genia.
Bobby DeJesus. Oh, sorry. Is that to the right or to the left? Okay, there we go. It's weird over here. Well, in the bottom middle is we have Richard Lowenburg. Right below Genia. I hope our video looks the same because I'm just all over the map.
You look above you and beside you. That's all. You try to do the right and left. You set yourself up.
So awesome. This is definitely all jokes aside, this film that you put together, Law, we want to talk about it. We want to celebrate it because it's actually it was ahead of its time. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that now that it's out, it definitely pushes buttons about things that are actually happening and has been happening in society. So we want to talk about it in particular and really put things out, and then spotlight it and appreciate for the genius that it is. So first and foremost, let's talk about your film, Catharsis. Tell us about how you put it together and what was your thoughts about it.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I needed to shoot something. I just felt like it was time. When you're creative, you just get those urges and you feel like it's time to do something creative. And there was a short film that I had written a script for that I was going to shoot in the fall. And it just took too long to get the resources and everything together. And I was actually looking at that script today. It's called All the World's a Stage. And I had reached out to Bobby and I think Genia as well, sent them that script because I was like, hey, we just got to do something. And it was an outdoor script. It would be an outdoor shoot. And winter came, like Game of Thrones, winter's coming. And it came. And so from there, I felt like I still needed to get something out that year. And so I pivoted and wrote Catharsis, which was an idea that's kind of been it had been twirling in my head pretty vividly for at least, 5 or 6 years. I think I dated it back to maybe 2014, actually, which is closer to 7 years. It was something that when the determination is there and the folks are there to support you, everybody rallied around and we were able to kind of put this thing together within a month. And, I was blessed to come out with some amazing talent. In addition to Bobby and Genia, who I'd worked on with my film, The Savior Inside and before. So
your Wi-Fi's a little choppy, Low. You audio?
Well, while we're waiting on him to get that thought out, I just want to say that, like, that's a hell of a pivot. Like, I wish when I pivot to things that it turned out as amazing as this film did. Because like for that to be a pivot, like to me, that's a long jump or a touchdown throw, or like I don't even know how else to like explain it. But the fact that his mind could pivot like that to write that film, even if it's in your mind. Like I got plenty of creative thoughts in my mind and things that I say like, oh, this would be an awesome film or TV show or something like that. But it ain't no way in hell I'm pivoting in doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just want to give you your flowers now on that. If you were able to pivot and write this movie, like, props to you, because like it came out amazing. Great piece of work. Totally relevant now. I mean, you thought of it, years ago, and it was relevant then. So I just want to throw some props your way, man. That, things happen for a reason. You always hear that, but I think from your story of how this came up, it definitely things happen for a reason. So yay for Winter to come in. Yay for your pivot. Yeah, just had to throw that out there.
Thank you. That was a great way to cover up my technical. Like your pivot is no joke either. Now, come on. I got stories about both of these brothers' pivots.
Yeah, well, listen. Yeah, we all fans of each other, man. I mean, like I was saying to Genia and Bobby for sure. I've seen them in other work as well, and definitely am fascinated with everything that all of you guys have done. And I definitely want to ask specifically, is even though you said it's more of a pivot. Do that. Did you draw from a specific inspiration to create this, to help you perpetuate this, or was it like you said, just we're going stage left with it?
Yeah, Don, I mean, I'd always, y'all know me. I'm really politically just inclined. That's my interest area. That was my undergraduate degree. So just constantly having an eye on the police killings and the track that the country was taking. It was like I always felt like there was something that needed to be told in that space that literally was able to communicate just how deep and how prevalent the anger and the frustration was with these police, killings. So, it was almost like super easy to draw on, like a storehouse of energon cubes for the Decepticons. It was just there, you know what I mean? I don't know why I said that, but yeah, that's how I felt.
Why not?
Why not?
It didn't get lost on me, I'm telling you. Okay, well, let me ask you to the cast. What was appealing about the script when you read it? Could you talk a little bit about that?
I want to go first. I go?
Anybody can go first.
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, it was, which like Nicholas Baker says, like this pivot thing, man, is crazy. The fact that it was something that was a pivot that had been lying around, I had no idea that this had existed for so long. But it felt to me when he shared it that it was something that was just happened. It was so fresh and it was so relevant and it was so something that I knew that I had to be involved. It was like, there was no question about it. It was the moment I read it, I was like, whoa, wow, hold on a second. Did he really just do this? And I felt like I saw it. It's the vision which commonly happens with law is so clear from the paper that you're just like, wow, yeah. I have to be involved in this, and I will do whatever I have to do to actually help make it happen. It was just one of those things where it was effortless. Like there was no thinking about it. It was just a flat out yes, right away.
Okay.
Nice.
Gina or Rich?
Would you like me to go, Richie?
Sure, why don't
Or do you wanna
you
go?
take it away?
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I echo Bobby's sentiments. Like for me, when I read it, and what was cool about it, when I got the script, I was actually going to Atlanta to do a project and then like judge this talent show and a couple of other things. And I had the script and I was on the flight reading the script. And, you know, it's just something about that when you're traveling, you're like, ooh, I'm reading the script on the flight like I'm doing things, you know, doing things. Oh my goodness, but not taking myself too seriously, but it was just a nice feeling. So going through it, I remember being on the flight and thinking, wow, okay. And like Bobby, I felt like I just wanted to jump and say, yeah, yes, I'm doing it. Number one, because what was appealing to me initially was like, ooh, this is gonna ruffle some feathers. And I don't know how, you know, the people who are going to get it are going to get it, but I feel like it would resonate with everybody because it's just a perspective that's told in a different way that's very visceral to folks who would read it. And like just from reading on the page, you know how you have your own thoughts and, you know, Law has it, you know, a clear vision, but, you know, you see certain things, but he sees certain things, but a lot of it is parallel, you know. And I was just like, heck yeah, I'm all about it. So I guess the impact is what was appealing to me initially when I read it.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. There's something like the passion is just like burning off the page when you read that script, like what Bobby was saying. It feels so immediate and like there's an urgency to it. And I was scared a little bit to jump into this one because I felt how powerful it was. But I'm always looking for something that's going to challenge people, and that's going to be a different perspective, and it's not going to be, you know, the same old story. Something that's actually going to try to break through and start a conversation in a different light, and a story that's not being talked about. So yeah, thought it was really important to be a part of it, and I'm glad I was able to be.
Awesome. Also, want to take the this time right now too. We'll start back with you, Richard, and work our way back around the set. You guys are also accomplished actors and actresses. Well, actors, I guess is the term to use now in your own right. Could you shed a little bit of light about you know, who you are and really quick you know, how you got to this point as far as by way of your craft?
Yeah, so I grew up sort of doing theater as a kid, and I just sort of felt like that way of connecting with people, storytelling, was my passion. And so I studied that in college here in New York, and I graduated from college a couple years ago, and working in indie films and theater, and then I do music on the side. I have a band, and so yeah, just trying to connect with people and tell important stories.
Hey, Rich, just to throw this in there, I literally was going to ask you, do you do music because of your setup?
Oh yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, that audio is just.
I was like, I would buy your album just because of your setup. It looks like an album right there. Like, I'm glad you threw that in there.
Yeah.
Cool. Genia?
Should I go? I feel like I just spoke.
No, we work our way back around.
Okay, all right. Because I don't want to do too much Genia. So I am from St. Louis, Missouri, and I started off mostly as a dancer. I've always loved acting and pretending, and just being transformed into another world, sort of thing. So let my cousin tell it. God rest his soul. When I was like 2 years old, I used to pretend I was a cat, right? And so people had to treat me as a cat. Like if you talk to me as a human, I would not answer you. So
I did the same thing, but as a dog.
Crawling on the floor, literally licking milk out of a bowl. And they let me do it. They let me go. That's how far I would go, like when I was from 2 to 5.
That's the Stanislavski method.
I don't know what it is.
Oh my goodness. So, acting's always been in me, but dance was a passion. And then I, of course, took lessons and competed, studied at one of the only Black dance studios in St. Louis, and then we started doing competition. Also Dunham Studio, which is in East St. Louis, Illinois. So it was an honor to study with Catherine Dunham. And then lots of dance at the University of Missouri in Columbia. And then moving on to DC, studied dance a little bit, but of course I was pursuing my master's degree in a different subject. But that's where I started to really get my feet wet in acting, acquiring the manager and agent and going out for commercials and then doing voiceover and also theater, of course. How could I forget theater? Theater. And then once I moved to New York, off Broadway, and then I really got into the voiceover and mostly commercial work and modeling, and what else? Cartoons a little bit. That's part of voiceover, but that's pretty much my journey. All the while, dance being a passion, but it was a springboard into some of the other fields. And I guess you can dance for as long as you can, you can dance forever, but sometimes you need a little transition, because your body just won't allow you to do what you did once before. You can still do it and you can help other people do it, which is nice to see, being an original company member of Step Africa. So that when we did that and to see that, develop and celebrate its 25th, 26th year, that's just amazing. So it's almost like I have grands and great grand kids, so to speak, in the arts. But yeah, so that's my story.
On a side note, when you were in DC, you were dancing on what program?
Okay, so we getting into the particulars, right? So I danced on Planet Groove for BET and Soundstage, and I did some dancing with Blackground Records and Universal Records, and that's how I met Aaliyah the first time, and we were dancing with Calvin Richardson, and so yeah. So and did we do Teen Summit too? No, I can't remember, but I think it was Planet Groove.
Planet Groove.
His cousin. I met his cousin before I met Law.
She glossed right by it.
I danced with Law's cousin Jabril for a while before I even met Law. So it's such a small world.
It was meant to be.
Yeah.
It is. Awesome.
Okay. Wow. So I gotta follow that. I should have gone right after Richard. What am I doing?
I try to help you. I'm just kidding.
Not that Richard is any slouch, really. Let's be real. But I mean,
Richard got all the stories down there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, so for me, I got bit with the acting bug in high school, George Washington High School. I'm a Dominican brother from Washington Heights, New York, New York. And one day it was just high out of my mind with my friends. Yeah, true story. We were in the stairwell smoking and stuff, and then decided to act a fool, running through the halls, tearing down bulletin boards and everything else. And this big, tall white man comes out of nowhere and like, rap, his hand right around my neck. And I'm like, get off me. And he's like, what are you doing making all this noise? And I'm like, oh my God, this white man is crazy. And I'm like, let me go. And he's like, okay, boom, throws me headfirst into this room. But when I stumble into this room, it's actually a mini stage and like a classroom setting with, I think, maybe 100 seats or something like that. I'd never seen this room in my entire life. And there were two girls on stage, and I'm like, what's going on here? And one of them is like, isn't it obvious? And I'm like, okay, all right. And so Stonebridge, the teacher, is like, why don't you sit down? God forbid you might learn something. And so after that, I cut class for an entire semester, every single period of that period, to go to that class. And there was no turning back after that. I fell in love with it completely. I did a little bit of community theater in a community college I went to, upstate, Sullivan County. And then after that, I went to the New York Conservatory for the Dramatic Arts and graduated from there when it was time to get serious. And I did an internship where I actually found out what the world of acting was really about because of how the casting process is. And, you know, sometimes if you don't look like somebody's cousin, you ain't getting in and things like that. Yeah, seriously. So I felt like at that particular moment right there, I said, oh no, I gotta write, I gotta produce, and I gotta direct. So when Law found me, he was already a brother in arms immediately. And yeah, so it's just been, you know, trial and error, writing, producing, directing, all of it. But my first love is definitely acting, like you might imagine, because of that high school experience. Yeah, and I came to this through our first film, The Samaritan and the Savior, and here we are.
You literally got thrown into
our hearts.
You got thrown into acting, literally.
Literally.
You know, I forgot to mention one thing. You know, being on this panel with a whole bunch of Hamptonians, I did graduate from Howard University.
It's okay. Not everybody's perfect. It's okay.
So we're like all HU family, right?
Right.
Yes, we are.
Right.
Yes, we are.
I was about to say, can we turn our screen off for a second?
You know, I had to get it in there.
Right now, they got a couple things going on, a couple important people.
Just a bit.
Just a few.
Side note, Bobby is like the storytelling king too. Like when we're on set, you know, Bobby is like Slick Rick. You know what I mean? Like the art of storytelling. Like it'd be like crack. And it's like, yo, there's no film that we've done so far. It's only been 2, but they're all like super serious films with like people dying. You know what I mean? Even him getting killed, and it's like he's telling these funny ass stories like right before he's supposed to get shot. I'll be like, how are we gonna get back? But he manages to do it.
Sometimes you gotta really pull it together too. It's just it's a mess.
Once upon a time not long ago.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, I thank you all for sharing your stories. I mean, like I said, I mean, you guys are definitely very credible in your craft, and it's obvious. You know, it's funny. I talk to my girlfriend all the time. We watch movies, and she isn't really the movie type of person. But you know, I kind of got her looking at things now about how people present themselves on screen. You know, how they're putting their lines out, how it resonates with people. And I mean, definitely have seen you guys work, and you guys are definitely great at what you do. You know what I mean? No zero flaws whatsoever. And I'm honored to be up here on screen with all you guys, man. Especially Brother Law down there who writes the business, you know.
Appreciate it.
That's right. All right.
And a side note, like also, I'm like, you know, it's weird. Like as a director, when you work with somebody, you kind of get like jealous. Like it's always like, you know why Scorsese always wanted to work with DiCaprio, right? Because it's like, you know, after DiCaprio does a Scorsese film, he goes and he does somebody else's film, and then you feel like, wait a second, you're cheating on me, right? So you always want to be like the best director that anybody's ever worked with. So you keep going back to the same people, you know, as your repertoire grows, because he's like, hold on, you work with somebody else? Well, I'm gonna push you to this limit. I want to get this. I want to go there. You know what I mean? And there really is like that kind of thing. So like even in casting, you know, Genia and Bobby, again, it was like, hold on a second. They've been in other stuff, man. I gotta remind them, like, hold on, wait, this is me. This is us. Like, this person. So I'm gonna be calling Richard again, like, hey, buddy, I saw that you were in another film. You know, right? Do we need to sit counseling?
No, that film means nothing to me, Law. You and me, that's the real deal.
Right.
Well, I mean,
it's
all
nobody
the world
like
is
you.
fake, right?
It's nobody like you. No one can take your place ever.
But that's dope. That's when you know like the chemistry is real, when you're pushing each other to do your best. And even if you do see them in something else and it inspires you to be like, all right, hold on. I got to really dig down, or pivot, as you would say, and pull something out. And then, like, you know, like you heard earlier, everybody said, I read it and was like, wow, I got to be a part of this. Like, it's like iron sharpening iron. Like you're just making each other better. You know what I mean? So
It's a bad man. He's a bad man.
Appreciate y'all.
Mhm.
yes, Lord Watford.
Super. Speaking of which, I wanted to remind him. Yeah, somebody said you were a superhero, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to DL Hughley.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, I don't know.
Absolutely.
You might want to do something with that law.
We've been saying he a superhero for years. Like y'all don't know. We used to like be in New York and just be kind of walking around, and he would disappear for like 10 minutes, and he always had a trench coat on. We'd be like, you just went and saved somebody, didn't you? You know, keep it low. Keep it low.
This is fact.
But you holding out on us, law?
Nah. They just funny.
Well, that explains the pivot.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So again,
Now it all comes out, you know.
we have the we actually have the footage. I think this is an appropriate time for us to start. How do you guys feel about that?
Sounds good.
All right.
Baker, what you think?
Let's go for it. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Because we got some really good questions to ask, but I don't think it's pertinent to ask right now until people see it, and then we can discuss it. So, without further ado, here we go. I'm going to add in the movie.
As a parent, one of the greatest feels is to see your child hurt and knowing there's nothing you can do about it.
Stop! District Attorney is pushing for change to the legal standard for the use of lethal force.
The DA feeling his hands are tied and not being able to charge the officers involved in a pair of deadly police shootings.
The district attorney
announced today that his office would not be prosecuting the police officers,
saying the shooting was justified.
County DA says police officers were justified.
It's justified.
Justified in shooting and killing a 15-year-old after a high-speed chase. Police say they got a call.
Yeah, it's terrible, but yeah, what are you gonna do? Barry, look, I'm catching it from both sides here. But listen to me, it's easier to deal with the media storm now than to deal with the long-term memory of the police unions. Yes, we are not gonna prosecute. Yeah, don't worry about it. But I'm announcing it after the holidays. Because I don't want to deal with the stress during Christmas. Yes, Councilman. I'll take it. Yeah, Councilman. Merry Christmas.
So you made up your mind?
Jesus, Anthony, you scared the hell out of me.
Like the ghost of Christmas future?
Come on, what the hell is that supposed to mean?
It means that I'm telling you that refusing to prosecute McManus is gonna come back to bite you in the ass. Like a pit bull.
You know, we've been over this a million times.
I know. But as your friend, and as your ADA, I gotta say that I get why you didn't bring charges against Turner. And why we went the grand jury route with Officer Darwin, police officers Brackus, Lipschitz, and Seth. But the video on this guy and his disciplinary record, it's too much to let it go.
So you're accusing me of being an opportunist?
No. I mean, everyone knows you have your eyes on City Hall, and we all know how hard it is to win without the police union support. But the union is never gonna throw one of their own over the blue wall, no matter how bad a cop he is. And if we keep letting these bad cops slide on these killings, the karma's just gonna be a big-ass bitch. Merry Christmas, boss.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, I'm home. Dad, Richie.
Pepper. Hey, who put you in your cage?
Dad!
Deb, what? Hey, what the hell?
Hands up, don't shoot, huh?
Look, take whatever you want. I have a safe. Whatever you want, take it, it's yours.
This is what it's like to be on this side. But the body cams never really convey fear. Not like this.
Please, don't hurt my family, I'm begging you.
Mr. District Attorney, I'm not like them. The people you protect. I wouldn't shoot someone who's looking at me with the same fear and powerlessness that I see in your eyes right now.
Ma'am, if I've done anything to offend you, I'm sorry.
Offend? You think I would be here right now with a gun, putting my life at risk because I'm offended? Because my feelings got hurt? You. Get up. Get up and give your daddy that seat.
It's okay, yeah. It's okay. Do what she says. Ma'am, me. Okay. Ma'am, listen to me. Obviously, someone you know was killed by the police. And you feel like I should have did more. Tell me who the victim is and I'll look back into it. I'll reopen the case. Ma'am, just tell me who your son is.
It shouldn't matter.
Please.
No. No, sir. It shouldn't matter who my son, or my nephew, or my husband, or my brother was. What matters is you didn't value his life enough to prosecute the man who murdered him. When the video shows the same fear in his eyes that you got on your face right now. You.
Ma'am, whatever you want, we could work it out.
Shut up.
Just tell me what I could do for you.
Here.
What is that?
It's for him. I want you to put that on. Better yet, give it to your daddy and have him put it on.
What's this for?
Put that on his face. Now! Faster!
Why are you making us do this?
Faster.
It's okay.
Faster.
I'm going as fast as I can.
Shut up!
It's okay.
enough.
I'm the one you want. I'm the one to blame. You're a good person. Let my son go.
Now, put that sweatshirt on. Now, I want you to take those ties and strap his wrist to the chair like your mama's. Come here, baby. Get it? Get it.
Stay away from my son!
Shut up! Come here. Come here. Stand up.
No, take me!
Stand up. Come on.
Listen.
Grab a
Listen.
couple of those zip ties.
Ma'am! No, just take me. Leave him. You're a good person. Leave him alone. If you're gonna shoot somebody, shoot me. Take me. Leave him. Listen to me. Me. Listen.
Now, I need you to tie your hands to the banister.
Just leave now. We won't call the police.
Dial 911.
You're making the right decision. We won't press charges.
Hello, 911.
Hi, I'd like to report a break-in at 475 Castile Avenue between Garner and Rice Street.
Tell me what they look like, how many of them are, whether they're
Yeah,
men,
man, in black hood and something in his pocket.
Okay, stay on the line with me. I've already got officers started. Do not hang up.
Please hurry.
I've got officers already on the way. I'm going to keep you on the phone until the officers get there.
I'm so sorry.
Listen, we could work this out. Hey, wait, what are you doing? Why? Just because I fucked up doesn't make it right! It's all right. It's okay. We'll be fine. The cops are gonna let us out. It's okay. It's all right.
Get on the floor! Get on the ground now! I said get down on
Hey,
the
no!
ground!
Stop! 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 Stop!
Let me see your hands!
Yeah.
Thank you. The cast.
Yes.
Everyone's. So let's talk about this, man. Let's talk about this. First of all, amazing job. Amazing job. Everybody, amazing job.
Thank you.
The question, let's start here and then we'll work our way back. Is what impact do you hope this film leaves on its viewers?
I'll let the cast go first.
Okay.
I feel like Genie, you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
I feel like I hope that it forces the very necessary conversation that I feel like came to a head this past summer with the death of George Floyd and so many others, and so many obviously like Black women as well. They hardly get mentioned, you know, in this discourse a lot of the time. But I feel like I hope it forces that conversation where we're, you know, just tasked with seeing what it is that we have, not what we hope that we have, but what we actually have, and the militarization of our police, and how close we've always been to fascism. You know, that's what I hope.
Interesting. Okay.
Richard?
Yeah. I mean, I think it really forces you to confront that grief in a real way. Because I don't think we, always necessarily talk about that. Certainly not the front and center in the media narrative about when these things go down, but like what people have to live with when it's their family member who is murdered, and sort of that, all of those emotions and all of that, what do you do with that, and how do you live with that? And so, I mean, I think that's what this film is about, and so I hope it, really makes people to think about that. And then, for white people, I think it hopefully challenges us to see this in a visceral way that maybe we haven't thought about. If it's like, your kid, that's, what does that look like if it's a white family? Does that feel different to you now? So, hopefully it's challenging us in that way too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Genia?
Yes, like Richie said, and Bobby, basically the impact I would love and just crave is compassion and empathy, to the point where you have a shift in perspective, because sometimes, people are just aloof, regardless of ethnic origin, but mainly because of ethnic origin, people can be, a little tone deaf at times. And then so after the shift in perspective, and empathy, just being inspired to have solid action, whether that be speaking up in a situation, or maybe taking a closer look at some of the socio-political organizations, that are trying to do some good in the world, or listening, which is so closely tied to loving. But solid action for me to make the world a better place with regard to this type of phenomenon would be what I would hope could, be the biggest bang for the buck as far as impact.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think they pretty much summed it up, pretty well. I think all of the above, and beside. I really like the title is Catharsis, and I really did want to create something that, in addition to, you know, fostering those conversations and sparking dialogue that was risque and something that really hopefully forces empathy in folks to consider if it was their child. I also wanted a catharsis. I wanted people to feel, you know what I mean, to release that tension of feeling powerless, you know, in these situations, because we are powerless, right? Ultimately, it seems like, you know, there are fortunately more occasions where we're starting to see the way government and the way, you know, attorneys deal with this change slightly, but ultimately it takes a lot to get justice, and most of us don't. So I guess the feeling of this film is like a scream, you know, it's screaming to let out the steam and the anger, and hopefully let you know how this anger is building, and it's building into, like, you know, Catharsis is out, but American Skin is out, which means that this isn't something that's happening in a vacuum. I don't know Nate Parker, you know, he doesn't know me, but, you know, around the same time, two filmmakers happened to put out something that really highlights where this anger is building, and what it feels like when people lose something so precious that they no longer have anything else to lose. And what does that conversation look like?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was just going to kind of throw my piece out, like as a viewer, and you know, I've viewed the film a few times. The one thing I'm always amazed about is how much the different emotions that are evoked in such a short period of time. Like, it's a short film, but I always, even now, find myself just in this real, like, reflective space, this angry space, this sad space. Like, it just evokes a lot of different emotions all in this short period of time. And, like, again, that's just another, like, testament to your writing. I really was intrigued, or like thinking about the DA's like perspective in his mind, especially like, so when he walks in and like he makes certain comments like, you know, did I offend you? You know what I mean? And it's like you don't even get it, right? And then it's like, you know, who's your son? I can fix it, right? As if it's just this easy snap of a finger for me to fix it. But, you know, it takes this type of situation for you to even think about it. But you're saying it's easy. But I'm grieving the death of, you know, my son. And it's like, you know what I mean? It really put it into perspective to me. Sometimes it's a mindset and a mindset shift that has to happen for a lot of people to like really do some self-reflection, to think about how engraved in the mind some of this stuff is, like how it just seems so like it's just another case, no big deal, didn't affect anybody, or it maybe offended somebody, but so what? Like, you know, it's not a big thing. Then I think about when she like kind of handcuffed him to the banister, and it was like calling the police, and then in one moment he kind of had this like relief, like, oh, okay, it'll be okay now. And I feel like even when they opened the door, he felt like it'll be okay because it's the police. They're gonna, you know, do the right thing. And I feel like, you know, being honest, in my black skin, I'm sitting here like, oh, he's not gonna make it. Like, oh, it's going down. But it seemed like in his mind, he didn't even think that would be something, and that mentality is real. You know what I mean? Like I've had conversations with friends, and they're just like, you know, one particular conversation, white male, and we were having a conversation about police coming to your car. And I was just telling them how, you know, we were always taught, you know, put your hands here, make sure everything is seen, that type of thing, speak this type of way. And he was like, I never was taught that, like ever. You know what I mean? So his perspective is totally different. And that's what I saw in that moment. Like the DA's perspective was totally different. Didn't have any fear of they're going to kill my son. You know what I mean? It feels so real to me sometimes. I really wish like I could go back and talk to the DA after and be like, what are your reflections now? Like, how do you feel now? that happened. You know what I mean? Like that's how. Like if there could be a sequel, I'd be like, let me. I want to talk to him. You know what I mean? But yeah, a lot of thoughts, a lot of different. Yeah, it's a great film, man. Great film.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I gotta. So let me first apologize because everybody that knows me know that I sometimes I just speak unfiltered and uncuffed. So if I say something, it might, you know what I mean. Just bear with me. I think the biggest thing that I love about this film is that it challenges reality. It's like when we had the attack on Capitol attack. I tweeted out. I said, today America finally looked at itself in the mirror and didn't like what it saw. You know what I mean? And I think that this film specifically addresses it in its entirety. And I think that's the ending law specifically is what separates it from American Skin to me. Whereas American Skin ended the way it's like, oh, you already knew exactly how this is going to end anyway because of the way the story unearthed itself, right? And to an extent, I guess maybe you would assume it would end the same way once certain types of things happen in your story. But I think the thing is that it was clever because it's like, look, I didn't even touch you as Genia's character. I didn't even touch you. At the end of the day, I'm going to sit there and let black work. So you can see what black is. You know what I mean? And I think that to me set it at a bar a little bit higher because it was clever. It made the system eat itself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so the thing that I want to say about this is that it absolutely is in the same category as American Skin, but I think that it's because of the relevance of it being the platform. And I always preach this because as a binary thinker, I think that film should be something, it's a platform for discussion, right? That's why we always, well, what did you see today? Okay, and then people want to talk about it because people want to, talk about the ideas and their perspectives on how they viewed it. And I think that when you start talking the conversations that need to be had, those are the most difficult yet dangerous conversations to have, because a lot of people still treat it as fiction, right?
Right.
And the reality of it is that this is fact on in a lot of ways for a quantifiable amount of people. So to see it and have it and force you to have a conversation like Bobby says. Forces you to have that conversation because it's a conversation that needs to be had, and people kind of tiptoe around it.
Right.
And it's just clever the way that you worked it out in order for it to get people to really look at it's not about black or white, it's about the system. And we're just the casualties that are kind of laid across the tracks, at least in my perspective. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So in that, it's brilliant. With regard to like I said, the acting, I mean, hey man. I everybody did their thing as far as by way of acting, by way of directing. I think it was very cleverly done for it to be a pivot specifically. This is a piece that anything less than any kind of nods is I don't agree with it. It need to end with some nods for you guys, man. You guys did some brilliant work with that. That's how I feel about it.
Appreciate it. And,
kind.
Yeah, I mean, and just with that, like, yeah, I agree. I agree about part of it is the power of film. Like that's one of the reasons I love film so much. Film has a way, almost like music has a way of just affecting you, right? It gets in your bones, it gets in your soul. You hear certain notes, certain chords, and they affect you. Film has a similar thing, but in a different way. Like it has a way of having you identify with things you normally wouldn't. You know what I mean? It's like if you're watching a film and it's put together well enough, it's told well enough, it's acted well enough, you find yourself going on a journey with a character who you may not like, who you may not want to like, who's somebody you've never known, never seen, somebody who you've stereotyped, and you find yourself, I guess, in their shoes in a way that there's no other way for it to happen. You know what I mean? There's no other way for you to get that close to feeling what somebody feels in the way that a film can make you, feel. So, in that regards, yeah, like I appreciate that, because like that's the goal for you to feel conflicted, because yeah, you understand the plight of the Black mother, and as Black folks, we definitely viscerally feel that. But then by that same token, you're on this journey with this white mother as well, and you just identify with her tears, partly because you were using your connection to the Black mother. So now it's like you're drawn into this thing where you're at war with your own self. He's like, wait a second, I want her to have justice in a way that makes me feel good, that gives me the catharsis. But damn, like that's a kid. I'm watching this kid sitting there in fear, tied up, and I'm seeing his mother not able to speak and crying, and I don't know what to feel. You know what I mean? And yeah, that internal dialogue is kind of where I wanted to go. So I appreciate it.
Shout out to Jamie and Kostas too.
Yes. Yeah, because Kostas actually, again, that aloofness, like he didn't go into it saying, oh, this is a bad guy. I'm going to play it. He went into this as a guy who is just purely ambitious.
Yeah.
Right? He's just an ambitious dude who understands the system he's working with. It is what it is. It's status quo. And at the end of the day, he just wants to do his job successfully. And for him, successfully means getting prosecutions and getting noticed, and because of that, he was able to play it very aloofly. He was able to stay in this mode where, like Devin said, it's, of course everything's going to work out. Of course I have the power to make this thing go away. You know what I mean? Where he feels like he's in control, even when he's not in control. So yeah, I mean, I'm just really amazed at all the performances, the honesty behind these performances.
Yeah.
Even
that's the word to use.
Yeah, with Bobby being the DA and understanding, like having that understanding as a Latino. Or I don't know if Bobby identifies as Afro-Latino, but a lot of people look at Bobby, they say Afro-Latino, right? So, having that role as ADA, you know what I mean? And knowing that you're serving the system, but you're trying to not serve that system in that way, to bring it out and subtly and have to know your place. And, again, of course, Virginia playing a mom who's, in this zone where she had to stay sympathetic, you know what I mean? So she had to stay kind of sweet, you know what I'm saying? And play it up in a way that was almost, to a degree, kind of reminded me of Misery. In this like endearing kind of way. Like I told her the other day, I was like, for me, like she gave a performance that reminds me of something that I might have seen from Octavia Spencer. This way to always be endearing, you know what I mean? And no sir, and this kind of sweetness to it, and of course, for Richard to take the leap to step into blackface, which was one of the things that he was concerned about, right? That alone was like, but then to go from there, and kudos to be the son who's so frozen in fear he can't talk. He has almost no faculties. He has no choice but to obey, and he doesn't know what to say. And for it to come out, man, I just love all your performances.
Thank you.
Oh, amazing work. Laura, I got a quick creative question. I have my own thought about it, but you talked about the mom, the white mom not being able to speak. Like when you made that decision, like what was it intentional? Like why was it intentional? Like what were your thoughts behind doing that piece? Because I think it spoke a lot of volumes to me, but I want to hear like from you.
Right. So it was both intentional and practical, right?
Okay.
So in the script, it was intentional in the sense that I wanted to, from a creative point, to kind of mimic this kind of voicelessness, this powerlessness, so the restraints on the arms and the restraints on the mouth represents the powerlessness that Black parents, Black mothers feel in not being able to protect their child. So, for example, the very first audio you hear is the voice of Philando Castile's wife, lamenting about how her child has to live without a father. And she said one of her parents' greatest fear is to see your child hurt and know that there's nothing you can do about it, right? So it was that. Then it was also practical, like from a standpoint of just sound and logistics, this film didn't cost a lot of money at all. You had one sound guy, and the more people you have speaking, the more it costs and the more challenging the shoot becomes. So practically it served us better to not have Jamie speak, but then it also kind of forced us to dig deeper from the standpoint of acting, you know what I mean? To dig deeper creatively and emotionally, to let that come across without words, because words sometimes are easy. You know what I mean? It's sometimes easier to be the person on the screen with the words than it is to be the person off screen who is looking at the person talking. You know what I mean? So, it was kind of a 360.
I always thought about it, was it like a thing where the Black mom would have thought the mom would have been able to just see to her?
Yes.
And like, no, I don't need to hear you. I can deal with his talking, but I can't. The mom part might come through. So it's like, let's shut that down. I always thought, like, is that part of it too?
Actually, yeah, that was, and you see it playing out through their eye contact.
Yes.
So every time Genia is looking and she's prompted to feel emotion, she turns back away.
Yes.
She looks and then she turns back to Kostas, and it's almost like when she looks at the son, when she looks at Richard, it's very briefly, if you look, she turns her attention back to the source. So it's almost like, this is my mission. Almost like when people go into war, they're casualties of war, in a sense, right? But you keep your mind focused on, I need to take that base. I need to, and yes, I'm causing hell in somebody else's life while it happens, but this is the mission.
Necessary. Yeah, got it.
What's interesting too, for Richard and Genia and Bobby, like, I know Baker and I know Law like really well. We've had conversations, so they'll get me when I say this, but just saying it out loud for people that don't know. Like I said, I'm a very binary thinker, and so I think about things like I look at movies with a whole different lens, productions in a different lens. I really do, and usually when my thought process when I'm going to the theater or if I'm going to whatever venue it is to watch whatever production I'm going to watch, I'm like, what's my why? Like, why do I care that any of these people are going through any of this stuff that I'm watching? If it doesn't answer those questions, then I don't like it. I don't. That's just me constructed. It's who I am as a person. And I thought this was particularly challenging of a project because I remember when Law shot me the script for me to read it. And I told him, I was like, dude, this is dope. This is one of those, Mark Zuckerberg holy shit ideas, because it in a short space of time, it's not even like it was a full-on feature-length film. It was a short space of time. So there's no character development. There's no building why I need to understand where the mom is coming from. Either of the moms, or the DA, or even Richard. Yeah, I mean, but dude, Richard, you delivered. In my opinion, and again, no shade to nobody, but you delivered a lot just by your faces, your mannerisms. Like Law said, you putting on the blackface too. And just like I'm trying to get out from the banister, I mean, these things to be able to, evoke the emotion in that short span of time for all of your performances, even you, Bobby, to tell a story, tell this narrative that people live and have it parallel what people, some people unfortunately go through. It was amazing. Like I said, to me, that's the biggest thing that I wanted to make sure that I spoke up on with regard to this, is that it answered the why. It answered the, y'all really need to take a look at this because the system itself is broke. Period. But you told the story, Law. You told the story cleverly from the confines of a little 10 to 15 minute blurb, like action.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
You know, so to me, this is a brilliant piece of work, and at the end of the day, I think this is something that I want my kids to watch. They need to see this. You know what I mean? And I said the same thing. So this, American Skin, and Antebellum, those three, I'm like, y'all got to sit down and watch all three of those. You know, learn something about yourself. Learn something about the way that, you know, because, you know, there's a lot of people that believe that the world, it's, you know, the world is this way, or the world should be this way. But at the end of the day, this is the world we live in, and this is what unfortunately goes on. It's not aliens that was it in the Independence Day or anything like that. I mean, it's great to watch, but this is the reality. And you know, I applaud all of you guys for delivering this, man. This is a message that needs to be told and shared for real.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you said that because pardon me, Law.
No. I was
okay. Because my sister and my brother-in-law showed the film to my niece and nephews who are like 7, 9, and 3, and I spent a lot of time with them, and this is a whole nother story for another time, but I ended up getting stuck in Atlanta. Well, not stuck, but I wasn't able to leave for months last year after March, you know, with regard to COVID. So I spent a lot of time, and I was there when you know, George Floyd met his demise, and so they got a lot of, you know, social justice education from that time on. And so they thought my sister thought it was important for them to see it. And I was thinking, you know, but I'm glad you said that because it just confirms why she did it. You know, why she did it. And I was just thinking, oh, you know, I don't know. They can separate seeing TTG in that way because, you know, TTG is playing a mom, you know, who's hit rock bottom and, you know, like feeling a little, you know, crazy about some things and needs to figure out a way to make, you know, justify that. But yeah, I'm just really thankful that you said that because that makes me feel better about that whole thing. And you know, there was Aunt Betty who actually made a comment about the film. That's Lawrence's aunt. That it could be. She was like, it needs to be a part of a training manual, or for, you know, for cops or or in some institution. Do you remember when she said that at the talkback, Lawrence?
Yeah.
So, and even if people don't think that it's a real thing, that's something, you know, if this doesn't stop and you know, we're tired, and we're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and God forbid, you know, it has to come to that. But some people might have even thought it was a dream. You know, is this something that she just cooked up in her, you know, her mind to, you know, deal with the pain of what's happened to her son, you know, a what if scenario.
I mean, I think the thing with me, I guess that's to answer you directly, Genia, is that, you know, you can't, you know, everybody who has their own children has their own design for which they want their, you know, their own bylaws for what they want their children to be bound to, right? That's what upbringing is. And, you know, I just think it's more incumbent, at least with me and my children, is because, you know, the fact of the matter is we are Black. And we are held to a certain standard of that is differential to a lot of other races. And that's just not by outward direction or verbal direction. It's just by this is the shape, this is the law, you know, the law of the road. You know what I mean? We crap out. And everybody, you know, has really kind of seemingly been like, well, if you crap out, I mean, deal with it. Turn the other cheek. Go on about your business. And that's just what it's been, really. And, you know, with my kids being of that, and that, you know, and having to deal with the same things, then it's just, I felt it's incumbent upon me for them to understand exactly what it is that they're dealing with. Not everybody can deal with it. Not everybody wants their kids to understand that, or experience that. Just like there's some parents that just wants to tell the kids, you know what, Santa Claus or Easter Bunny, and I ain't yet seen an Easter Bunny walk around, hop around. No, you know what I mean. So at the end of the day, I think it's a certain point of reality for and for us all. But it really depends on what do you believe in, and what do you want to, what's the narrative that you want your kids to live with.
Yeah.
And I would rather prepare my kids for World War 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in the event that they don't ever see World War 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, great. But if it comes, they know exactly how to deal with themselves, and that's just my perspective on it. And that's why I'm sharing what I'm sharing. I just think that this is so pivotal of a piece that I'm scared that it'll get looked over. You know what I mean? I think this is very, very poignant, and something that definitely needs to be sincerely taken, watched on a lot of different levels. And that's just that.
It's funny you both talk about you talked about kind of kids and like how to deliver this information or whether to deliver this information. Me and my wife don't have kids yet, but we both work with kids. And we were watching Queen Sugar today. Another great TV show. But either way, one of the storyline was the father was telling his son about being off parole. And my wife was like, to me, that was great parenting because he took the kind of situation and broke it down to the child's level, enough for him to understand. He was like, P-word, parole, prison. And he was just like, parole is like, somebody came to check on me to make sure I'm still doing good. And the boy was like, oh, so you passed the test? He was like, yeah, I passed the test. I did good. He was like, great job, Dad. You know what I mean? And that was it for that moment. And it made me think about, and I said he spoon-fed it. And it made me think about food, like with kids, right? You may not give a 2-year-old a whole steak, but you may cut it up into pieces just a little bit. It's like, okay, I know you can handle this much, right? As they get older, they can handle more steak, right? To a point where they handle the steak without you. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's what like great parenting is. Like, and again, Donnie, like you said, every parent's going to do it their own way. So that's not me judging, saying that if you don't give them steak, that you're not a good parent.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more just like, how you decide to decipher that information or put it out there to your kid is important. And I think you being there with them to be able to cut it up, give them the bite sizes that they can like handle is what's important. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. It's funny because that's exactly what I was thinking. I know they're their parents, but this is TTG. I was like, no, I need to be there so that I can help y'all out with that. But of course, that's just me being the big sister and the auntie. But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
Cool.
Actually, there was a question that came in, not to spotlight on you or you out specifically, Richard, but from Jabril. Question, Richard, did your perspective on race change after filming?
It's a good question. I mean, I think it comes down to you can understand something intellectually and sort of looking at the world and thinking, here's what's going on, and I see the inequalities and the racial injustices, but it's not something that I've experienced. And then being in the experience of filming this short and trying to embody the powerlessness and the fear and having the having a gun pointed at you, being held down to the banister. Yeah, I think in terms of just sort of deepening like the emotional understanding of the reality of what people live in a way that I don't have to reckon with as a white dude. Yeah, I guess that kind of sums it up.
Okay. Do you think we as a society are close to seeing some of the actions in the film, such as Catharsis and American Skin being taken to address police brutality? I know I just said a lot.
Yeah, it was a little choppy, but here we go. Here's the question.
Do you think we as a society are close to seeing some of the actions in the film and, Catharsis and American Skin being taken to address police brutality? Can you see this? Can you envision this? Are we steps closer to stuff like this happening?
Yeah, I mean,
who's that for?
Anybody? Open question.
I mean, we've already seen it. We've already seen it in recent times. Unfortunately, we've had, innocent police officers being murdered as a backlash to things that are going on, and that's the rage that we're trying to present. I feel like in this film and in American Kid, we're trying to say, look, this rage is real. It's here. You need to deal with it before it gets to your doorstep, because it's already about to knock on your door. You know what I'm saying? There's only so much that a people can take, and you keep, just putting the knife in deeper and turning it more and more and more. And that it's just gonna it's basically fire meets fuse meets powder keg.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we've seen it already.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talk about the riots, and I was one who wasn't opposed to the riots, right? The looting I didn't like. I think there's a difference, right? The riots in the spirit of the Boston Tea Party. As a person who is an American, and I count myself as an American. I don't let conservative, Confederate flag folks claim that mantle. I'm an American, right? I'm a quintessential American because I have a choice, right? This is my home, right? So as an American who is taught about the power of the Boston Tea Party, I absolutely wholeheartedly understand the power of a riot, right? The goal, hopefully, is that from these riots, there's change, right? So in the riots in the 60s, that's part of what fueled Dr. King's movement. It was like, hold on a second. Government was like, look, we can either listen to this dude who's coming here talking about peace and give him his platform, you know what I mean, to be of nonviolence, or we can let folks like Malcolm X and Black Panthers, you know what I mean, continue to preach, a message that is wholeheartedly embracing the need for violence to fend off or to protect or to stop violence, right? Which is, it's the justification we go to war, right? We went to war to stop war. That's why Americans always, we're considering ourselves going to war to stop war. So we're here in the summertime, and the riots became so bad that localities were like, just let it happen here. Let's try to contain it here. But if this doesn't teach us, if this summer rioting doesn't teach us that the anger, like Bobby said, is that real, then eventually people are going to redirect the riot, right? So it's not going to be just in your Rodeo Drive or your Fifth Avenue or your local Target. Eventually, people are going to say, that's not working. Where else can we turn to create that much more fear? Because the idea is that let's change our behavior because we fear what this riot is doing, right? So eventually somebody's going to get smart and say, you know what? Obviously, burning a Walmart doesn't do it. Burning a Macy's doesn't do it. Maybe we need to start looking at government officials. I mean, how is that different than anything else in history? We know in history, the French Revolution was what? The bourgeoisie rising up against what? Officials and politicians. So, as Black and brown Americans and oppressed Americans, as Americans, period, we should just learn from history. So hopefully, again, at first, in making the film, or even writing the script, I was hesitant at one point to do it because I was like, I didn't want it to be perceived as endorsing violence against law enforcement or those in the justice system, right? It's not endorsing it. Then after a while, I was like, but then it's actually irresponsible because whether I create a film about it or not, the fact that I'm creating a film about it means that it's in somebody's mind who's not a filmmaker. It's in a dude's mind who's like literally a dude who's just working 9 to 5. It's in the mind of a dude who's in the South somewhere, who's 100% card carrying member of the NRA, right? And if it's in the minds of folks like that, it's only a matter of time before you kill the wrong person's child, and all hell is gonna break loose. You know, so it's almost irresponsible to not let people know that this is in the consciousness right now, and you have to address it.
Yeah, I agree. Your mic is a little choppy. Not sure if everybody else is hearing from that. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, like you said, is just the fact that, you know, at some point in time, it's going to hit home. Whoever it may be, and once it lands, it's going to land hard if it's not addressed. And that's unfortunate.
I think Bobby's muted.
Sorry, I can't hear the question because it sounds really broken up. I'm not really sure if anybody else is having this problem.
Yeah,
it's a little choppy air.
I think.
Mute your mic real quick.
Donnie's on.
Can we all mute while someone else is not talking? Can we do that? Is that possible?
Who just muted? Yeah, Law, I think it's you. I think you got the Roger, the zap with your mic right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Donnie. Can you ask the question again?
No, it wasn't a question. I was saying that I first of all, you know, again, I was thinking it was you know, Law's mic, but you know, no shot. Second of all, it's interesting, like you said. I think that what's the old saying that the chickens always come home to roost. You know, and I think that's the reality of it. Is like exactly like what Law is saying is that, you know, if you don't address this in plain sight, you know, over your shoulder, it's going to be solved, and you might not like how it's solved that way. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, if you have the understanding that, you know, at some point in time, it's going to resonate with you. It's going to hit you, you know, if you don't deal with it. And I think that's very much a key. That's very much a part of, you know, the learning aspect of it. And I mean, that's why it's glorious to hear or see something like a Catharsis come out to kind of remind people, should they choose to really understand the fact in the fiction, so to speak, that this is reality. And there's a lot of parallel, you know what I mean? So I just, again, just wanted to reiterate how many kudos I have for you guys, all in the parts that you played, and this is dope, man. It really is. I usually don't like to really say dope in this kind of platform, but I mean, there's no other word to describe it. It's dope. Like, it's a perfect word for it.
And you know, I want to with kind of that thought, I want to push us to the next question, which is, what do you think needs to be done first to address police brutality? I think we've talked about the fact that, you know, we're close to, you know, or things have happened that are kind of like depicted in these films, and worse could be to come. And, you know, a big thing that we're saying is we need to address it. But like, what needs to happen? Like, you know, what are the things? And maybe it's not first, maybe it's a couple of things, but I just want to toss that out there. What do you guys think needs to happen to address police brutality?
Well, can I go first? I'll go first. So I think the first thing that has to happen is that white people of good conscience need to start having conversations with other white people. And they need to start telling them, look, this is where we are. Whether you love it, hate it, whatever it is, this is where we are. It's the chickens coming home to roosting that we were talking about. And then after that, I feel like there has to be more community policing, man. I feel like there should probably be a giant barbecue every summer where you got like the cops and the kids and everybody just going together and bringing a potluck, and whichever way that it is that you have to do it. But we have to get officials that are, you know, that are police officers to start to engage the community in a way that they start to see that we're not the enemy, and for us to engage them in a way that we see them less as the enemy, because it's a matter of kind of disarming. And then finally, I think you know, there's a lot of policy that has been discussed in a lot of different ways. Defund the police. Defund the police is a thing, man. Like, they cannot handle a lot of what we're throwing on them. And I'm not making excuses for them, but being a cop is a hard job, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people, they have to encounter all these situations that, number one, they're not even trained to handle. When it comes to anything that has to do with mental health, they don't know what they're doing better than any of us here. In fact, any of us here might be a little more effective because we're not armed and we're people of color. Richard, you are now an honorary person of color.
We gonna send you bad,
but so policy has to change. Policy has to change where we start to see some real accountability being, you know, being held. We need to have some independent body, like a commission, that has to look at crimes of police brutality as an independent arbiter.
Yep.
Where maybe some cops are present, but you have to have, you know, I feel like maybe you do have some ex-cops. I feel like maybe you have some community leaders, and then I feel like you have just, you know, the peers, people in society. And this commission has to be the ones that decide what happens, because the DA ain't gonna help us. The DA is helping them prosecute crimes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's just my 2 cents on it.
And let me say something about that really quick too. I literally just said that last week because we had a conversation about this at work, and I said, you know, it's funny, you know, when I worked for Warner Brothers, I had to sit through ethics and diversity training. When I worked for the California Endowment, I had to sit through ethics and diversity training. There was always somebody that monitored ethics and diversity to make sure that nobody's being misrepresented in the workplace. And I was like, so who's in charge of ethics and diversity for the government? Not a single entity. There's nobody that can qualify, you know, that we can go to say, hey, we're being misrepresented, and it be fair for us. So I mean, the fact that you said that, brother, I definitely 1,000%, 1,000,000% agree with you, and I think that it needs to be something that's totally separate from people that were previously on the force or so forth and so on. I think we need it. Maybe the UN needs to come up with a new faction for it or something like that. But the fact that we don't have that in the government space, it's a problem. It's problematic. It really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, shoot, Bobby, that was more than 2 cents. That's probably like 50 cents. And then Donnie put in his 50 cents. What else can I say? Well, okay. I mean, yeah, you pretty much summed it up. But yeah, for me, it's training, exposure, and policy and legislation, if I want to, you know, package it. Right. And as far as the specifics, you know, and the details, that would need to be, you know, fleshed out. But that's what I think, you know, would be needed for the first few steps. And you know what I mean by exposure, right?
Right.
You know, okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Getting amongst the people, or even if they had, you know, like with the diversity training, sometimes you have these videos, these interactive videos where you could do, and then eventually, like maybe, like you said, once a month, you get out there and you have some kind of community event, and you get out there and you talk to people within your precinct. You know, that's just on the local level, on the grassroots level. You know, something like that, because I feel like there used to be more interaction, you know, even though these things, they've been happening for as long as we can remember. But I feel like growing up, I've seen it, but it just wasn't, I don't know why it wasn't sustainable. and then it, you know, and it depends on what area. So just figuring out a way to do that and make it, you know, make it duplicatable across the country.
On like a mini like Big Brother thing where you pair up like a group of cops with a group of civilians and they have to work together to beat the other team. I mean, you know, these fools love to shoot their guns.
And it can even be lightweight too. Just the conversation, just the interaction alone, you know, where people, you know, because like part of, I mean, not to, you know, get on this again, but like part of why I feel like what happened at the Capitol happened is because those cops were, they respect the white people.
Let it out. Let it out.
They respect them, and they don't respect people of color for the most part. I'm not putting a blanket on everybody. And then also there is a fear of killing white people and not people of color.
Because there's accountability behind that. You kill a white person and you're in for it.
Exactly. And why wouldn't we all be put in the same basket as far as lives being, you know, meaningful? Like each life is, you know, precious. Why wouldn't we all be treated that way? So
well, then all lives would matter, wouldn't they?
Right.
Richard, Law?
Yeah, I mean, sort of jumping off that, I remember AOC said something about policing. Well, we know what policing could look like, and it's what it looks like in white suburbs. You know what I mean? Where if you're a white kid and you get pulled over because you ran your plates are expired or you ran a red light or whatever, it's not a life or death situation in just about every situation. So why can't we have that sort of accountability and that sort of system everywhere? Yeah, I think we have to sort of reimagine like what is policing, and if you look at the history of it, it's a racist history, and so I don't know, like how do you reform that? I think you got to just sort of like, we got to try something else, and I don't know what all the answers are, but I think defunding the police and, you know, reallocating resources to people without guns and people who are trained to do specific things that people actually need, as opposed to people who are mostly trained to, in many ways, try to, you know, be more violent rather than less. I don't know. What we're doing is not working. So
Richie, you're getting all the inside tea.
Yeah.
Dishing it too.
What'd you say?
I said, Richie, you're getting all the inside tea today.
That's right.
I mean, he's dishing it too. I mean, for me,
absolutely.
I'd say that I think it's a few things. I've always had a problem with the term defunding the police. I never agreed with the term, but I agree with the principle, right? So the ideal for me is, in part, in that scheme of things, is okay, if you don't want to quote unquote technically defund the police, then why don't you redirect funding to grow the police department with mental health professionals who are part of the police, who do not carry guns, who, if there is a mental health emergency, you send that person maybe with an officer who is armed or whatever, in case, you know, because, you know, real talk, sometimes, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But if you have, if you staff your police department with folks who are trained in mental health, who are mental health professionals, we don't think police is all about just arresting and locking down. You know, if it's about stopping crime, reducing crime, you know what I mean, solving crime, then that's part of it. Also within the police department, when we talk about mental health, police suffer from PTSD undoubtedly. You know, I mean, I come from a family of law enforcement folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is PTSD. If you see a lot of the images they see, like, period, like, it's not even the stuff that we see. We don't see. We may see 10% of actual the visual things that they see on a regular basis, right? The things that they get on the wire, right? Yeah, we need to make sure that we're allowing police to have mental health breaks. You know what I'm saying? That they're evaluated because those experiences begin to shape and skew their view. Also, I agree with what everybody said about community policing, because the thing is, it's harder, like anything else, it's harder to not respect somebody else's humanity when you're seeing them on a regular basis. You know what I mean? So if I patrol a certain neighborhood and I'm like back to patrolling neighborhoods, like in my neighborhood, I walk up and down the block. I don't know everybody's name, but I see folks regularly enough. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? There's something there that lets me that there's a camaraderie there that's just a natural human inclination, that if you say hello to somebody enough, you now acknowledge that person's humanity. And it's harder to shoot a person in that, you know what I mean? It's harder to choke that person up. It's easier to strike conversations. It's easier to say, look, y'all, I know y'all don't rat. I know y'all don't snitch, but this is what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's easier to be like, look, bro, I know you trying, you just hustling. Can't do it here. Why? Because I'm on a job. Sorry. You know what I mean? It's easier to work that way than it is to just pull up in a police cruiser, jump out, and try to lay down the law with this PTSD in the back of your head, this lack of humanity in the front of your mind. You know what I mean? No knowledge or access to the people. And then on top of that, you've been trained to not only kill or be killed, but also you've been trained to make sure that people respect your authority, because the blue wall is a wall of authority. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of it. And also, for me, I've been pushing for years. I kind of every now and then, you know, I'm a Bernie bro. I be hitting like Bernie up on social media. I'm like, look, there needs to be a law, a federal law making it illegal, a federal crime, a felony for anybody serving in any law enforcement capacity anywhere in any municipality in America to lie or falsify any document, to lie on a statement, so that we treat any police records as sworn testimony by the officers, right? So that if the federal investigators come in to investigate a crime and they take your statement as an officer and you want to lie for your fellow cop, and we find out, 5 years. That's the law. There's no probation. It's like mandatory. You got a mandatory minimum for falsifying a statement. You know what I mean? And I think, at least in that regard, we'll get more honest testimony, because I don't care how tight we are. I don't care if we like, you know, Hill Street Blues or like as close as Kit and Michael Knight. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I ain't lying for you if it means that I'm going to lose my family for 3 years, and you shouldn't ask me to do that. You got to kind of keep your shit together, bottom line, in that regard. You know what I mean? You can't endanger me and my family because of that. So those are some of the ideals that I always had.
So, Law, you say accountability and self-care, huh?
Yes. That's how you sum it up. You know, I'm long-winded.
There's actually a police department that I think has implemented a pretty successful model of this kind of new policing that can be reimagined. I think it's Camden, New Jersey.
Yes, Camden is getting a lot of attention for you.
Yeah, they're doing some really, really interesting things. And then, you know, there are other, like the independent commission that I was talking about, that would relieve officers of that pressure, period. I think in to large extent, because they know that the person that is going to be looking at them, the people, the entity that is looking at them and at their actions, they're not coming friendly. They're not coming like, hey man, don't worry about it. Whatever you got to say, I'll back you up. Right. No, they're gonna know this is, I'm gonna have to tell the truth, because these people, they don't give a shit. They're here to see the truth. So the more I tell the truth, the better off I'm gonna be, like you said. And then there's other, you know, stuff that people have thrown around, that I've thrown around myself, that has been like, okay, so, and this might piss a lot of people off, but it's a matter of accountability, right? Like if the police department has to pay out, where does that payout come from? Should it really come from taxpayers' money? Or do we actually start going after the Police Benevolence Association and have them pay a certain amount at least? Because, you know, we have to, when you have that kind of absolute power, you have to police yourselves. Like these people have to come up. They have to be like, nah, man. Like you said, Law, you can't be screwing around, bro. I'm not playing. Like you are not taking my family's money. You're not taking my pension because of your nonsense. Get your shit together. No, we can't have this. So then, you know, officers of good conscience, which I believe most are, I think most are. I think many of them just get caught up in bad training and all the things that we've mentioned. But I believe that those people would be like, look, man, you know, this ain't flying. We're gonna change this.
Yeah, money's a motivator, you know, and it's like, who's responsible? If it's just the whole city, you know, the taxpayer, then what motivation is there to change? But if it's actually costing the police something financially, maybe, you know, that's something that makes you go, now you're trying to bleed me dry. I don't know. It's worth a shot.
Always
right?
comes back to the dollar, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Baker, you got any last thoughts?
Whew. I don't know. Y'all kind of put a lot on the table, and I think I agree with what everyone said. Definitely the community policing. Definitely the self-care, the PTSD that cops have, and like how are we addressing it? I mean, I think there's some hard-ass conversations that have to happen. Like looking at where we are and really accepting it first is like a big step to me. Like a lot of people just don't want to accept it. Like we have to accept it first. And I think that was the one part of American Skin that I thought was done in a you know, kind of a good job of, was when they did have that trial in that space and they got to that point where it was like, put your shit on the table. Like, be honest. What did you think when you saw that car go by? Why did you stop them? How did this really start? Right. And that's what I think a lot of people, like, it's like we're scared of it almost, right? Or I don't know if it's scared or just don't want to admit it or like want to forget it or want to overlook it. But there's some harsh realities that are here and we don't talk about it. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes they'll be like, well, I don't like your conversation, so I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Or I don't like that opinion you have, so I'm not going to talk to you anymore, right? And that's probably the ones we need to have. Those are probably the conversations that we need to push. That one where I don't agree with your opinion, but I'm going to push you. And we're going to keep having this conversation because we got to get to a point of honesty, right? And like until we get to that, I mean, we can change systems all we want and defund this and that, but if we don't get to that point of reality, like this is what's going on, here's what the problem is, you know what I mean? Then, I mean, I don't know if anything moving forward is going to help. You know what I mean? Like I think about, you talked about cops being in schools, like officer friendly is something I think about. Like you used to see cops in schools like it was normal. Like now you see cops, it's like, what's wrong? Right? But cops used to come to schools and talk to kids all the time. Like it was normal. Like it was a program, right? Dare. And like things like, you know, different things where cops were there. Now it's just like, if they're there, something's wrong. Has to be, right? Or that school has some issues. And that's why they brought a police presence. And I just think like it's so built up in so many different like aspects that we just have to have some real self-reflection and have some hard-ass conversations. Like come to those honest places that was depicted in American Skin of like, this is why this happened. This is the truth. And then maybe we can take another step forward, right? But if we can't take that step, yeah, you know, I'm at a loss of what's really going to work past that. So
it's like his boy used to say, right? In American Skin, he used to say, what his best friend used to say, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
With his cancer, with everything else, it is what it is. This is what it is, you know?
This is what it is, but that's how you fix it. Like, at least put it on the table. Like, put the problem on the table, and then you come up with answers, right? But if the problem keeps getting camouflaged, they're like, we talk a little bit about it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I always push it. Like, yes, we say the system is the problem, but the system goes back a lot of years, right? And I think now the problem, along with the system, is mindset. People have been, it's ingrained. You can't take a mindset that's ingrained and just say, oh, let's change the system, but put the same mindset in a new system. I mean, yes, there may be accountability that helps. You know what I mean? Like, okay, it'll slowly change it, but like the reality is that mindset is a beast, right? And that's what we're asking to like change the system is that this mindset. That mindset is like, yeah,
it's toxic for sure.
Maybe we have to treat the system like children and do it little by little.
Yeah, facts.
I would just say it starts from the top. As I always say, shit rolls downhill. You know, and I think at the end of the day, you're not going to get any change if they're not allowing changes at the top. You know, and again, it's as I always say, it's about triage. You know, you can't go into a hospital with a broken finger talking about my foot hurts. They're going to diagnose the problem wrong. You know what I mean? So I think the reality of it is that we need more vessels, more things like more platforms and things like this Catharsis, American Skin, you know, to shine a bigger light on what the actual problem is. And people need to stop talking around the issue, start talking about the issue. You know, I think that would help. That would serve us better. I don't even want to say it'll help us. I want to start by saying it'll serve us better to triage the situation more correctly, and we get more functional corrective action from it. You know, and I mean, and again, that's my piece. Now, this is definitely I feel better about the conversation. I feel better about my day actually for having this conversation. We are definitely I want to say well over time because we can always talk about however long we want. We just, for the interest of, you know, attention span, we try to keep it as and respect to, you know, people's times. Just keep it within a certain amount of time. But so with that, I want to say I want to wrap up here. Definitely very thankful, very appreciative of all of you guys' times and your talents, because you guys, again, you know, we get to see your talent, and you know, you guys actually have that you're in that industry where people get to see what you have to offer. You know what I mean? And you know, that's without judgment whatsoever. It just is what it is. That's what was said earlier, right? And you guys are all talented, equally passionate about your craft, and you know, I'm in awe as a fan of film. Real quick question before we go out, and you know, we'll just because you know it is this Sunday, so just got to throw it out there. Tampa Bay,
Kansas City.
Okay, Kansas City.
Okay.
She's throwing them up.
I'm gonna say
I'm going with the Midwest. I gotta go with KC.
All right.
I'm gonna go with Kansas City, but I do want to honor. I think it's dope how we have mounted our own little protest against the NFL in honor of Colin Kaepernick. We sit there talking about police brutality while everybody else watching the Super Bowl. So even if we go right now and then click on it, we still have done our due diligence.
We have done our.
We boycotted a whole hour of the Super Bowl, hour and a half of the Super Bowl.
Hey, look. Rich, what you got?
I got KC, man. I'm going with KC all the way. I can never root for Tom Brady, man. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Are you one of those people who don't
I've always been a Jets fan since I was 6 years old. I can't root for Tom Brady. I hate that dude.
Why?
I hope they put him out to pasture today, man. It's time. Bye. My boy.
Yeah. I think he might do it again. He might, you know, this might be his swan song. You know, I can't hate on it. I can't hate on it at all.
He's gonna take me with him right now.
Hey, Bobby just jinxed. We gonna get off of this Zoom call. We gonna turn on the channel. It's gonna be like 23-4.
Well, look, I'll just put this out there now. You know, like I said, I'm all about real conversations and real statements. So, Colin, I didn't totally boycott the Super Bowl's on in the background. It is 14-3. I apologize. You know, my knee was kind of down. It was almost down. It wasn't all the way down. I kind of, you know, took a little bit of it. But no, I'm going with Kansas City just to put that out there because I'm a Raiders fan and I can't, again, root for Tom Brady because of what he did to the Raiders many, many, many years ago. Yes, I am a lifetime.
Yes. It's the tuck rule. They made a whole rule based on
a lifetime hater.
Oh my God, no. If he was black, they wouldn't have done that. If he was black, they wouldn't have done that.
Here we go.
Sorry.
See what can of worms y'all just open.
Richard, can you weigh in on this, man?
Yeah,
Richard's from the Midwest.
I'm from the Midwest too. Got to go with KC. Tom Brady's had enough. He can, you know, this can be the last one. Let him go.
They are winning right now, though. I will put.
I'm
gonna just say this. The only reason I wouldn't be totally mad is because somebody need to represent for 43 and up older people. So that's the only reason I'd be like, look, Tom, he done crushed a whole lot, but I want people to know like 43 is the new 20. You know what I'm saying?
I will say this: Bruce Arians, the coach of Tampa Bay, all of his like coaches are black.
Yeah,
I will say that. Like,
yeah. No, I have respect for them. I have respect.
And they got the female coordinator. Right?
Absolutely.
So that diversity is there behind the scenes, which is important too.
Mm-hmm.
In honor of Colin Kaepernick.
I guess I gotta leave it at this. I don't care who wins it. Watching the football team. That's all I'm gonna say. And I'm just gonna live with that. I ride. The sun rises and sets on my team. That's how I feel about it, and we'll just leave it with that.
Which is your team?
Watch the football team. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, that's all you can say. Because I mean,
it ain't nice, but it's okay.
But with that being said, listen, like I said, I appreciate all you guys' time. This is awesome. We definitely are. I mean, I gotta ask my brother here, but we gotta bring you guys back. That's how I feel about it, and just reboot all of this, man, because this was definitely it was good for my soul. You know what I mean? Just have an open dialogue and conversation, man. It really was, especially with talented people such as yourself. So, kudos to you guys. My best wishes and luck for whatever you got, projects you got coming forward and so forth and so on.
Yeah, Rich, I want to hear your music, Rich. I want to hear your music.
Yes.
Check this out. Misa Music, MYSA.
MYSA, done deal.
MYSA, Misa Music, yeah.
Misa Music. Okay, cool. And real quick, I guess we'll do that, and then we'll get out of here. Everybody, give your shout outs and how can people find out more about you? Okay, start with you, Bobby.
All right. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as B_scribbles2525. I'm on Twitter as Bobby DeJesus or Bobby DeJesus25. Yeah. Here to talk to the people. Love talking to people.
Indeed. Genia?
Yes, I am on IMDb. I am on Instagram, and I am on Facebook as Red Delish. There's a story behind that too. like the apple, Red Delish. And I just want to say happy Heart Month and happy Black History Month, and be kind to your heart.
That part. Misa Rich.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm on the internet. You can find me on the socials at The Rich Low. Check out the music, Misa Music, MYSA. We're putting out some funky jams and having a good time. And be well, everybody. Keep it going.
Lawville.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook at Divine Right Pictures and Tyler Street Films, and on Instagram at Tyler Street Films and Law Divine Right, DIVINEWRITE. I'm not too up on my IG handle. I don't even really know what it is. I hope I got it. Hey, shout outs and thank you, brothers.
Yeah.
Family, for the platform, for using your platform.
It's beautiful, so sexy. I love this platform.
Yeah, I love the show and the work y'all doing, and I want y'all to continue to grow. So thank you for having us.
Yeah. Shout out to Jack and Tiffany.
Shout out to Jack and Tiffany.
Mario. Shout out to Mario.
And Mario. And Nick.
DP.
That's our sound guy.
Yeah. Shout out to my niece and nephew, Kiona, who are also production assistants. So yeah, thank you for everybody.
And rest in peace, Peppa.
Rest in peace to Peppa, who
Peppa made the
knows very well. Yeah, rest in peace to Peppa. That was the dog for everybody who doesn't know, the little dog.
And Angie.
And my wife, who was calling me. My wife been blowing me up. I've been muting every time she yelling up the stairs at the kids. I've been muting like, oh shoot.
Be like, have you seen Malcolm and Marie?
That's what we about to have when I get off this call.
Baker, you got any last words, brother?
Hey man, this was great. I'm just happy we could make this happen. Like our first film screening on 2 Flew West. What a way to kind of get us kicked off with doing that. Catharsis, loved it. Great job, guys. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Definitely gonna have y'all back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Much
Indeed.
appreciated.
So, like I said, thankful for all of you guys. Thankful for your talent, your craft, your time, your energy, your passion, because it definitely comes across on screen. You can find me and Baker on social media, all of them, 2 Flew West, just like it says up here in that side. And just stay tuned for whatever we got coming up, man. We just we're designed to give people a platform to speak, man. That's all that matters. Amen. Everybody has a voice and everybody has a story, so it needs to be heard and shared, and that's it. So
I want to know, where did the 2 fly west from?
Well, you want to take this one, Baker?
I mean, basically, me and Donnie both are from the DMV area, and we both moved to California.
Okay.
So 2 Flew West.
Yes. Yes.
You didn't drive.
It's like, were you in the left? Were you on the East Coast? Were you in the South?
Yeah.
DMV represent.
Yes, indeed.
Yep. So that's what it's about. And we determined you're going to see some more things coming from us. That's a daggone show. Just like we'll see more from all of you guys, and we look forward to it. With that being said,
good drip, y'all.
My background is shutting itself down. So it was like, dude, okay. But
hey, your background look like Law's audio.
Donnie looked like he in WandaVision.
Don't drag my director.
Donnie in WandaVision.
Right.
Yeah, shout out to Disney too. That is a dope show, man, by the way. But like I said, stay tuned next week. Baker, we got DeMont on next week.
We got DeMont Pender. Next week we're gonna be on Saturday instead of Sunday. Sunday is Valentine's Day. We wanted people to kind of have that day, so we'll be on Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. We got DeMont Pender, artist extraordinaire.
Yep.
So look out.
All right.
Cool. Awesome stuff.
With that said, like I said, we are out of time, and we will be following all of you guys, and stay tuned. And we definitely look to help promote whatever you guys got going. So send it to us, and we'll promote it on our platform as much as we can. Each and every one of you guys.
Okay.
Wonderful.
And
thank you.
Awesome.
No problem. And we out. Peace.